Your brain is reinventing your body every second. Right now, while you're watching this video, your brain is lying to you. Not only about what you see or hear, but also about something much more fundamental, your own body. It seems to you that you feel the beating of the heart, the breathing of the lungs, the digestion of food in the stomach. But here's the disturbing truth. None of these feelings are real. At least, not in the way you think. Your brain doesn't receive a live feed from your organs. Instead, he's constantly guessing, predicting, and creating a sense of who you are. And when is he wrong? That's when the oddities begin. People feel phantom limbs that don't exist. They lose the ability to recognize their own hands. Some people can't even tell if they're hungry or full. Scientists call this interoception, and it's the most important feeling you've ever heard of. Because if your brain stops creating your body properly, you literally won't know who you are. Let me show you how deeply ingrained it all is. In 2019, neuroscientist Anil Seth conducted an experiment at the University of Sussex that fundamentally changed our understanding of consciousness. He suggested that the participants wear virtual reality headsets that showed them a digital version of their own body, but with one important difference. The heartbeat was out of sync, just for a split second. The result? People reported feeling as if they were outside their own body. Some felt like they were dying. Others said they no longer felt real. It wasn't a glitch. This was proof of what neuroscientists had suspected for decades. Your brain doesn't wait for signals from your body. It can't afford it. Neural signals propagate relatively slowly. By the time your brain gets the information that your hand has touched something hot, you will already be burned. So instead, your brain does something unusual. It predicts what your body should feel, and then forms that feeling in advance. Think about it for a second. Every sensation you've ever experienced in your body, every ache, every itch, every tummy tingle, was created by your brain even before the real signal arrived. You don't perceive reality. You perceive it the way your brain is trying to imagine it. And in most cases, this estimate is accurate enough that you'll never notice the difference. But that's where the most disturbing part begins. Your brain doesn't just predict sensations, he actively suppresses those that contradict his predictions. Researchers at University College London discovered this in 2017 using what is known as sensory attenuation. When you touch your own hand, the sensations seem less intense than when someone else touches it in the same way. Why? Because your brain predicted the sensation, created it in advance, and then turned down the volume of the actual signal when it arrived. You are literally numb and have stopped noticing yourself. Now let's talk about what happens when this system fails, because that's when you realize how your body really works. Meet Jan Waterman. In 1971, at the age of 19, he woke up one morning and found that he could no longer feel his body from the neck down. A viral infection has destroyed the nerves that transmit signals of touch and proprioception to the brain. The doctors told him that he would never be able to walk again, not because his muscles stopped working, they did, but because his brain could no longer predict the position of his limbs in space. But Ian did something amazing. He learned to walk again by watching his feet. Every step required his full visual attention. If the light went out, it instantly fell. For more than 50 years, he has been controlling his body manually, using only his eyesight and intense mental concentration. One researcher described it as playing a video game with yourself 24 hours a day, where if you get distracted for even a second, you lose.
Ian's case reveals something profound. Without your brain constantly predicting and creating bodily sensations, your body becomes someone else's. You can't control what you don't feel, and you can't feel what your brain doesn't create. But then, it gets even stranger. There is a condition called somatoparaphrenia, in which people lose the ability to recognize their own limbs. The patient may insist that his left hand belongs to a doctor, his mother, or a random stranger. No logical arguments will be able to convince him. One woman, examined by neurologist V.S. Ramachandran, believed that her paralyzed arm belonged to her brother and demanded that doctors remove this dead man's hand from my bed. The reason? Damage to the right parietal cortex disrupted her brain's ability to integrate sensory predictions with actual sensory data. Her brain couldn't support the assumption that this hand belonged to her, so it came up with the only logical explanation. Someone else's hand must be in the bed. Phantom limb syndrome is perhaps the most famous example of how the brain invents body parts that literally don't exist. Up to 80% of amputees experience vivid sensations in their missing limbs, not just vague sensations, but specific ones: itching in the toes, cramps in the calves, clenched fists. Some people feel the movement of their phantom limb. Others experience excruciating pain in body parts that haven't been there for decades. For many years, doctors believed that these sensations were caused by nerve damage at the amputation site. But Ronald Melzack's research in the 1990s proved something much more interesting. These sensations occur exclusively in the brain. Your brain has a representation of your body. Neuroscientists call it a body schema, and it doesn't update automatically when you lose a limb. It continues to create this arm or leg, continues to generate sensations for it, continues to maintain the illusion of its existence.
But what's really amazing is that Ramachandran discovered that sometimes it's possible to trick the brain into fixing phantom limbs using just a mirror. Place a mirror so that a person with an amputated limb sees his reflection in the missing limb, and suddenly he will be able to unclench the phantom fist that has been painfully clenching for years. One movement in the mirror, and decades of imaginary pain can instantly disappear. It's not magic. This is proof that your body is a controlled hallucination. The mirror gives your brain the visual feedback it needs to update its invention, to rewrite the story it told itself about which body parts exist and what they do.
But your brain doesn't just invent sensations in your limbs. It constantly shapes your inner state, and this is where everything becomes truly personal, because this invention directly controls your emotions, your decisions, and your self-awareness. Lisa Feldman Barrett, a neuroscientist at Northeastern University, has been studying what she calls affective realism for decades. The bottom line is this: your brain is constantly monitoring signals from the heart, lungs, intestines, immune system, and hormones. But it does not perceive these signals as separate data. Instead, it combines them into a single, cohesive feeling that you experience as your mood or emotion. What's the catch? Your brain often misidentifies the source of arousal. In a series of experiments, Barrett showed that people constantly misinterpret the state of their bodies. Do you feel excited after a workout? Your brain may mistake it for anger if someone cuts you off on the road, or for attraction if you're on a date. Do you feel anxious because of the excess caffeine? Your brain can come up with a reason to worry about work, relationships, or the future. You think that your emotions are a reaction to events, but often the opposite happens. Your brain comes up with a physical condition and then looks for an explanation in the environment. You're not angry because something bad happened. An ongoing bad event gives your brain a reason to label your existing physical condition as anger. This has been proven in the laboratory. In one famous study, researchers asked participants to walk across a frightening suspension bridge and then meet with an attractive researcher's assistant. Participants who met with the same assistant on Earth were significantly more likely to express sympathy and even ask for her phone number. Why? Their brains mistakenly interpreted the physical arousal of fear as romantic attraction. Your feelings of reality are literally created by your brain based on your body's interpretation. Change this interpretation, and you will change your feelings, even if nothing has changed in your environment.
And that's where all the power comes in, because if your brain creates your body, then you can learn how to change that creation. Interoceptive training is an advanced therapeutic technique that teaches people to more accurately sense their inner states. At the Laureate Institute for Brain Research in Oklahoma, researchers have developed protocols that help people with anxiety,
depression, and eating disorders by literally relearning how their brains interpret body signals. One of the methods involves heartbeat detection tasks. You sit quietly and try to count your heartbeats without touching your pulse. Most people are not good at this at first, with an accuracy of about 40%. But with practice, the accuracy can improve to more than 80%. And here's what's remarkable. As people get better at feeling their real heartbeat, their anxiety decreases. Why? Because anxiety often occurs because the brain incorrectly interprets normal heart rate fluctuations as danger signals. As your brain learns to more accurately predict and interpret your body's movements, you gain control over emotions that previously seemed automatic and irresistible. You don't eliminate sensations. You change the idea that your brain tells you about the meaning of these sensations. Meditation partially works through this mechanism. Experienced meditators demonstrate significantly different patterns of interoceptive processing from beginners. Their brains maintain awareness of bodily sensations without immediately creating complex emotional narratives around them. A rapid heartbeat is just a rapid heartbeat, and not necessarily a sign of danger, excitement, or anxiety. The sensation exists, but inventing its meaning becomes optional.
So here's what you need to understand. You're not living in your body. You live in a simulation of your body, created by your brain. A simulation that is updated and recreated multiple times per second. Every feeling, every sensation, every idea of one's physical self is a controlled hallucination. And this is not a mistake. It is a feature that makes the existence of consciousness possible. The question is not whether your brain invents your body. He's doing it. The question is, now that you know this, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Because the same system that can create phantom limbs and false emotions can also be rebuilt, redirected, and improved. You cannot directly control your body, but you can influence its creation. You can change the story your brain tells you about the meaning of your feelings, and by doing that, you're changing what it's like to be yourself. It's not just neuroscience. This is freedom.